To the salon owners, the spa experts, the med spa mavens, those who make every cut, every massage, every facial feel like a small miracle. At Boulevard, they see you. That's why they built the first and only client experience platform that combines online scheduling, marketing, messaging, and payments, and works as beautifully as you do. See for yourself at joinblvd.com/Spotify. Boulevard, software for self-care businesses.
Spring is here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Join us on a journey, you glorious human, to see yourself clearly and feel a little more awesome than you did before. It's Awesome with Allison. Hello, 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 my beautiful, glorious humans. Welcome to the podcast. I am so grateful you're here. We've got another exploration on how to access the awesome that is inside of you. I am so excited to talk about this concept. My true self is limitless, because my true self is limitless immediately, for me at least, brings up contradictions. My truth, I'm not limitless. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm grumpy. My pants don't fit. I'm limited by these pants, by this pant selection, or by this money issue. I'm limited by my lack of education, or my lack of resources, or my lack of support. There's so many ways that it feels contradictory to think about this idea of my true self is limitless. There's so many ways we don't feel limitless. So how can we believe that my true self, like which part of me actually is limitless, right? Okay, but then we can talk about human ingenuity and innovation and creative expression and art and music and industry and spirituality and all of these really expansive, the cosmos and particles and neurons and protons and electronic magnetic fields. I don't even know, right? Science is hard. But the universe is expansive, and we don't even know how far things go and what is affinity, and right? So right there, like even with the world around us, this idea of my true self is limitless. You're like, Allison, you're talking about the world. Okay, but let's talk about your ability to create, and your mind and your ideas and your ability to generate connections and synapses and fire things together in your mind so that they wire together. It truly is limitless. There's truly no limit to what our minds can do, and we know that it's this physical form can sometimes limit it. So when we say my true self, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a physical form? Are we talking about a metaphysical form? Are we talking about our body, our corporeal self? Or are we talking about our mind? Or are we talking about our soul? These are big questions. And rather than try to dive into the definition of them all, I thought that I would explore contradictory beliefs and how that can be really uncomfortable. And I really believe that this mantra brings that up. So to set us up for success, let's first decide if we want to believe my true self is limitless. How does that feel in your body? How does that feel in your heart? Does it bring up feelings of disbelief? Does it bring up feelings of relief? Does it bring up feelings of confusion or neutrality? Let's just start there. Let's start where you are. And wherever you are is absolutely perfect. There's no right or wrong. There just is where you are. For me, the idea that my true self is limitless feels true. Even if I can't quite describe it or make it very concrete, there's just a part of it that rings true. And I say this all the time, but truth isn't taught, it is remembered. And I really believe that there is a part of me, a core of me that longs to resonate in the frequency of truth. And so when I hear that truth and it's presented to me, that little part of me that wants to tune into that frequency perks up and is, hey, this feels good. This feels expansive. Let's explore this. But that might just be a little part of me. There might be a bigger part of me that is thinking I'm worthless, or I'm hurt, or I'm sad, or I don't have the resources that I need. And then there's another part that might automatically start to shame you for thinking you're limitless. How dare you think you're limitless? Who are you to think you're so high and mighty? Know your place, know your value. Don't get too high and mighty for yourself. So there's a lot of different things that can come up even with just a statement like this. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, as there are situations in my life where I don't really know how to compute something that hurt or changed. And it's just like, how do I compute this reality with my past experience and then live moving forward in a forward experience? A really concrete example could be this person that I loved and I trusted and I gave my heart to and I confided in, and they confided in me and they gave me their heart and they trusted me. And then they decided, or something happened that they interpreted in their way, and they don't love you anymore. Or maybe they love you, but they don't want to talk to you anymore. Maybe there's a divorce, a separation, a breakup. And you have lived with an unconscious or conscious belief that a good person keeps people in their life. And this might be something that you don't even know you value so much, right? And then you have this friendship breakup or this divorce or a rift in your family. And I bring this up because I know so many people are in this position right now. And you're left sitting there thinking, how am I supposed to have any confidence in myself, any faith in myself, any trust in myself, and believe that I'm a good person who's worthy of good when this really horrific thing happened and I believe that good people keep everybody in their life and this person isn't in my life anymore. And it creates this contradiction or this dichotomy where you're like, I have this belief that good people don't have people leave them or break up or whatever it is. But at the same time, this person did that. How do I get myself to stop believing that I'm worthless because this happened or that I'm at fault? But all of this to say, my true self is limitless. That does not feel true when you feel so limited by the circumstances in your life or by the realities of what is playing out before you. And it has been very hard for me to understand where to land in this hurt and in this pain. Like, how do I not just keep going in this cycle? So in my book, You're Already Awesome, in this shift in the book, I talk about the shame and blame cycle. And I think that this is really important that it gets brought up because the shame blame cycle of this happened and I feel bad about it. Now I feel bad about it. I want to blame somebody. It's because it's so uncomfortable to feel bad and they're the worst. But I'm also the worst. And it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. When we are in that cycle of a contradiction like that, we cannot feel or maybe sometimes believe our true limitless nature, because that shame and that blame speak in the language of limits. So there is a part of you that is limitless, and there is a part of you that is full of limiting beliefs. It is uncomfortable to live with new truths and new realities, but that is transcendence. And truth is only found in transcendence. And truth dictates that there is opposition in all things. That there is an up and there is a down, and there is a left and there is a right, and there is a dark and there is a light. And we do not know the light until we know the dark, and we do not know the dark until we know the light. And we live in such a linear world where people genuinely want you to check a box. And I understand this from one very practical standpoint, where the first thing a child does is they start to recognize, I am different than that person, or we are the same. I remember one time we were eating at this wonderful Chinese restaurant, and it was run by this awesome family, and they had their like new little baby there. And Eric, the baby saw Eric and started screaming and crying. And the family felt so bad. I was like, it's fine. And they were like, the baby's never seen anybody that looks like you. Because it was a Chinese family. Eric was bald with a bright red beard and freckles. And the baby, like, was like, whoa, this is not what a person looks like. This is terrifying. And it's funny because children usually really like Eric, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just Eric didn't have black hair or dark brown hair. He's bald, and he was very pale at the time, and he had this big red beard. He must have looked so foreign to this baby. And so this baby, unto that, had the experience that this is how people who are going to nurture and take care of me, this is how they look. And even a child starts to delineate, this is different, this is other. And that comes from a biological need to survive and know what is safe. The trick then is to transcend or progress the way that we learn and understand. Because the way that we would teach green to a preschool child is we would say, this is green, and we point to the grass, and we're like, green grass, there you go. But as an adult, we start to learn maybe green is nuanced. Green contains other colors. Green, the light particles in the color green actually mean blibbity blobbity blue, right? Like we could get really scientific about the color and have a deeper understanding of it. It's not that pointing to the grass and saying it's green is necessarily wrong. It's just a more elementary understanding of the color. It's the first step to understanding the color. And as people who want to have a true, rich, limitless experience that we can feel inside ourselves, that we know is like part of this great truth of us, is that we're these beautiful, limitless creators, also in a very physical, limiting world. It's very contradictory. Where is the truth? The truth comes when we are able to hold both as true. And as I have been in this place of some sadness and some hurt and not quite sure how to move on, what has been helpful to me, and I hope is helpful to you, is to start to think about different levels of consciousness and awareness And I've just started giving them random colors where me and two of my friends, we might be in the same level of awareness and consciousness about our physical bodies, but I might be at a completely different level of awareness when it comes to my role as a mom or my role at work in my career. I might be in a completely different consciousness than the same friend. We'll just give the friend a name. Let's say Veronica, okay? I met a great lady named Veronica last night. So let's say Veronica and we get together and we have conversations about eating intuitively and giving our bodies support. And we've been really harsh to our bodies and we're trying to be kinder to them, right? And then I talk to Veronica about work and she starts saying nothing ever works and you can't get anything done and shoulda, coulda, woulda. My level of awareness and consciousness around mission and purpose, what I've dedicated my entire life to trying to understand it. So it's not that I have a better understanding, a better awareness. It's that I have a different awareness and a different understanding. And in some ways it might be better or blah, blah, blah. And in some ways it might not be. It might make it really hard for me to do simple tasks like post a picture on Instagram, right? Like it could be so convoluted that I can't sort it out. And so it is really hard when people you love are in a different awareness or consciousness because they unknowingly or knowingly project their limits in that area to you. Does that make sense? And so you might trust them when it comes to talking about your body. So you think that you can trust them when it comes to talking about your work, but you're just in different places. And the transcendent understanding is that people can both know a ton and know nothing, and that people get to progress and learn. So what this has looked like for me is with friendships, the people around you are going to be in the same level of consciousness and awareness. So you might have somebody in your life who keeps getting in abusive relationships, and you are just at your wit's end with why do they just keep doing the same thing over and over again? It is so much like the shame-blame cycle that we find within ourselves. Why do we keep getting stuck in the same cycle of shame-blame? Just like, why does that person keep getting stuck in the same cycle of an abusive relationship? Or they keep putting themselves in relationships where one person has a little more power than the other. And maybe it's not as bad as it was 10 years ago, but they're still doing the same thing, right? And as somebody who loves them, you're like, stop doing this. And maybe you're saying it to yourself, stop doing the same thing. But what I talk about in the book to break the shame-blame cycle is actually the same tool that I have been using to break this cycle of I feel limitless and limited. I feel expansive and dead. I feel like I can do anything and I can do nothing. And so what I've started to do and started to realize is I'm living in purple in this area, and they're living in chartreuse. They're both awesome colors. There's not one higher or better or lower. That would be the argument of school children to argue over which color is better, or artists, right? Like we can argue about it all day long, but at the end of the day, purple and green are both colors that are made with primary colors and experiences, and they're both valuable in this world. But I've got to stop trying to understand the green from my purple. I've got to stop, and not even understanding, because what happens when you mix green and purple, actually, it's brown, which is fine too. It's another fine color, but I feel so muddled. And so for me, it has been very helpful to go, how do you interrupt that cycle and not get stuck in the Is green better or purple better? To break the cycle, it requires compassion, and acceptance requires awareness and feeling the feeling. You can cognitively know that you are sad. That is very different than feeling your heart break and feeling really sad. It's really different. And I can't even talk about it because I was really sad, and so it's still really fresh for me. But it's such a clean sad that I'm feeling right now. It's so clean. Like, it's not filled with stories of my worthlessness. It's not filled with stories of how people did me wrong. I'm just sad. And only when I feel the sad and have the awareness of my part that I played in the situation that is bringing me sadness. And I have found only when I forgive myself for that part. I can forgive the other people all day long and I still feel terrible. I have to be able to forgive myself to break the chains that keep us from feeling that limitlessness or that transcendence. There's a lot of abstract concepts that I hope come together for you, because the idea of limitlessness is abstract, right? But it is a transcendent truth that both requires the realization of limits and expansiveness. And just like that shame-blame cycle within ourselves, the way to break the cycle of comparing your reality to their reality, or your truth to their truth, or the world's truth to your truth, you will drive yourself insane, or you will pigeonhole yourself with a bunch of people who keep reaffirming the story that is comfortable for you, and you will continue to repeat the same cycles and over, because without accepting and adopting the contradiction, you cannot transcend. And I really like that when we apply it to transcending that shame-blame cycle as well, because the emotion, the feeling, the awareness of what you're feeling and the awareness of your truth is integral. But where I think so many of us have a really hard time is in the feeling of the feelings. So in my book, I say the language of limits is shame. And the language of limitlessness is compassion and love and understanding. And so when you are feeling terrible, notice the language. Now, when I say terrible, I really mean terrible, because shame and blame are terrible feelings. Oh, they're not feelings, they're states of mind. And because it's a state of mind, you can't get out of it. It's like a little prison you build for yourself, and you feel like you're going insane. And you can get a bunch of people on your team, and you can get a bunch of people to agree with you and reaffirm that story so that you don't have to experience the shame side of it. You can just experience the blame side of it. Let's take the example from the beginning of a relationship ends and you believe that good people keep all relationships. So how can I still be a decent person worthy of love and have these hard things happen, right? And the way that I have been able to transcend the sadness and the despair, I have to transcend those two seemingly contradictory thoughts and believe that the hot mess part of me is as valid and true and as much of the experience as the polished, spitting perfect prose without a pause on stage in a perfect way, ooh, like that part of me is every bit as true as the hot mess part of me. And only when I can hold those two contradictory truths, have the awareness that it can be true, and then feel the true feelings that I need to release or let go or experience to come into a place of peace. And those two come together and transcend and take me above those contradictory thoughts. And that's where my limitless self lives. That's where she is. That's where she's hanging out. So, my beautiful friends, you are limitless. You're limitless. There's joy possible. Joy is limitless. Love is limitless. Compassion is limitless. And forgiveness is limitless. The forgiveness you deserve, the compassion you deserve, the joy you deserve is limitless because it is part of your true nature. Okay, friends, I love you. I love you. I love you. Man, I'd love to hear what you think about this. If this hit for you, if it makes sense. I've had a few people reach out and I appreciate it so much. I just want to let you guys know I'm so grateful for you. And I truly believe that your true self is limitless. And I'm just sending you so much love. Only you can be you, and you're already as awesome as you need to be. Hey, you make a difference, and I would love to hear what you have to say. If you have ideas or questions or 2 cents to add to an episode that's happened, even if it was from a while ago, call the Girlfriend Therapy Hotline. It's free. It's 413-239-9045, and leave me a message, and we can play it on the show or answer your question.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.